Hey everyone, welcome. Hey Sandy and Dennis and Joseph. Hey Mike, Richard, Keith, Michael, Mike. Let me go ahead and set things up here for you. Let's see. Anyway, trying to get it to come up so I can post. Can't seem to get it to do that. Finally got it. Why it doesn't come up, I don't know. But anyway. Ooh, wrong button. And there we are. Finally pinned it. Would not let me go to my own channel for some reason. Hey, Russell, Pastor Larry, the unlikely beekeeper. Welcome. I don't believe I've seen you in the chat before, but everybody is welcome. Anybody wants to jump in on the chat part, go right ahead. Hopefully everybody's been Hey, Brad. Got to write down the got to write down the newest participant. So anyway, back to the story here. Hey, Dan. Nothing really happening in the bee yard for me, except I guess I got some bee withdrawal. Hey, Bill, you there, Bill?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yep, I can hear you.
I know you can see me because I can see it.
Yeah. Anyway, I got some bee withdrawal, so I had to go out here. I guess it was yesterday evening, and around 5:30 or so, and I checked my hives during the daytime. I looked at them as far as bee activity going in and out. Things were a little slow, even though it was sunny and warm. And so I took and lifted up the telly covers. Either there was a pile of bees sitting up on the inner cover coming out of the vent hole, or there was a bunch of bees at the vent hole and on top of the telly cover hanging on. And so I popped a few inner covers, and there was loads and loads of bees. So, hey, Bill Lee. And anyway, like I say, I just kind of reconfirmed that all my bees are in the hive, and they were great, good populations and stuff like that. So that's what I did this week as far as going into the bees or doing anything with my bees and all that. Kind of reading some comments here. Um, ah, hey Joseph from the new Jennifer's friend from Hampstead. I did take a phone call today from a new beekeeper looking for bottles and things of that nature. Helped him out, told him about the channel. Hey Chad. So that's what I'm. Whoa, is that you, about Bill?
Yeah, it's giving me a hard time getting into the
Hey,
comments.
yeah. Hey Peter, glad you're from. Welcome from Colorado. If you see Flower Street in here, he's also out in Colorado, close to Denver, and trying to get my paperwork. Gee, Flower Street Honey. That'd be Brian from Denver. Chad, or let's see. Um, and the unlikely beekeeper is given 2-1 and blasting with OA with his new InstaVap compact. Yes, we've heard a lot of rave reviews about that, especially Brad from up in Manitoba, Canada, the Faith Vaporization. He actually went out and bought a second one, and in order to keep up with his commercial operation and how well it worked and how fast it actually is, better than the original one.
Oh, the miniature?
Yeah, the compact model. There's the original InstaVap.
Yep.
Then there's the compact. I believe that's what you sell, right, Bill?
Yeah, so, yeah.
And then there's that new one out, which is, I don't know what they call that, the miniature or whatever. I haven't seen any. Nobody's gotten that. I just haven't come out on the market. Well, it's getting ready to come out on the market.
Did did Laura B put it out or who put it out?
Laura B's going to have it. I think that's going to be its debut at the Nobby Instant Vap Light. Is that what it's called, Brad? The littlest ones. It. I think it's going to debut at Nobby.
Huh.
Oh yeah, Brad. He's going to be. He has one. He's going to debut it for the folks up in Canada. There, of course, anybody that's subscribed to his channel, he can see the B Man of Faith Apiaries. He's going to be demonstrating it. They're available at Dancing Bee in Canada. Dennis says the drought's hitting hard here in Alabama. Well, it's kind of getting bad up this way too, Dennis. We really need some rain. Hey Lee, hey Bracken, what's happening out there?
Yeah, it's the Instabate light. It's basically the heater in a tube is all it is.
Yeah, it's. I think it's going to require smaller batteries. Will
Yeah.
require a little bit more time for it to react and work.
Yep. It's going to kill the batteries quicker too.
And I think the price of it will be a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, it is going to be cheap.
Maybe that'll get most of your people that have the old pan with the battery and kind of get into it.
Yeah.
Hey, Nancy, you hopped over. I was trying to get Michelle Nancy to come over. I kept giving her instant messages, but she didn't seem to figure that out yet.
Come on, Nancy, you got a converter.
Well, this other lady's a new person and she does need some help. And the other chat, they don't stick on topic as far as I'm concerned when it comes to people needing help. And Brad says it's still a very highly built quality product. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I'm going to have to call Rob tomorrow and see if I can't get a couple of them.
Hey, Nance, you're on.
Hello. My face is sunburned. I'm seeing that my face is sunburned. Let me go turn the other one off.
Turn on what, Nancy?
All right. Here we go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So at the end then of the other chat, I said to them I was going to hop over to see you. And they were like, "Oh, does he have people actually come on his?" And I'm like, "Oh, my Lawrence, we're on every night. We're on a chat every night." And it has something to do with Charlie. So but yeah, we'll see.
They don't get it. It's for everybody that's in the chat. It's another bee chat. It's a local Pennsylvania bee chat. I also belong to, I don't know, 5 different clubs, but they started, a Zoom chat, basically beginner type stuff. But
Yeah, it was right. It was COVID March, or it was in response to COVID. It was March, so it was in response that Chester. I started one with Montgomery County, and I didn't have the support from the club to do it, and then George started the one in Chester. So I just went over to his then. So,
but Michelle's on.
Is she?
Michelle, is it Murphy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Glad to see you jumped over to the dark side.
Come on now, Charlie. We're not that bad.
No, but we got
no more heat in that syrup. No more heat in that syrup. Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle. If she's got, Michelle's got. What did she say it was? 20 hives. She's got. If she's got 20 hives, she needs a 55-gallon drum with a mixing tank.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that. I just mix it straight on top of the hive now. I don't. I just mix it right in the rapid round. Pour the
Michelle,
sugar in, and then
this is where the big boys and girls hang out, where all the pros are.
You know what the difference between a professional and amateur is, don't you, Charlie?
No.
Professional gets paid for what he does.
Well, I get paid. Nancy gets paid. You get paid.
Yeah, I do get paid.
That's my definition of a sideliner. You know, the most definition, oh, you have to have 50 hives to be a sideliner. I
No,
said,
you don't.
well, I look at it this way. You can have 50 hives and not make $1. Or you can have
Right.
15 hives and make $10,000.
There you go.
You know,
Yep.
Yeah, it's about making money and paying off your initial investment.
It's
yeah.
called
I mean,
Is
return
how
on
I,
investment.
I looked at
I'm
it.
talking about like myself. I have thousands of dollars worth of input cost every year, but I still make a profit, and I make
Yep.
enough money to to do all that with.
And you're making a good return on your investment. That's what it's all about, is that return on investment.
Now, Marcel, all you have to do is type in, yeah, Michelle, just go ahead and, if you got any questions, I mean, we will sit here and answer. Michelle had a mite problem, everyone. She made a joke out of it where she had I guess you would call it a oil tray underneath the bottom board, and she said, win a prize and count all the mites, after she had, and there was thousands of them, and but anyway, we were talking about her treating and stuff like that. She's a little bit behind on treatment, and doing Formic Pro about a month too late. She's doing vapor, and I've told her to try to get some more vapor through the winter months, and
Yeah.
that way, hopefully, she can knock the mites down to a point where her bees can survive the winter and get through the winter and everything.
Yeah, if she hits them in January with one round of OA, pretty heavy dose, 4 grams or so, she'll knock them down.
Yeah, I see Kaz here, which is Blake, who I used to mentor. Yes, my bees are all settled in for the winter. Feeding's done. Like I said earlier on, I checked all my hives. Well, they didn't check them all, but I hadn't seen them for 2 or 3 weeks, so I went in and opened up the inner covers and popped a few inner covers, opened up the lids, and yes, all my bees were there, and good numbers and everything like that. So makes me feel good that nobody has died out yet or anything of that nature, or shouldn't die out, and all that kind of stuff.
I wanted to show you a picture of my 2 queens. Remember me talking about having 2 queens in a 5 frame?
Mm-hmm.
Back in it was about a week and a half ago, I guess. Nah, I should go look at my calendar. But anyway, so I pulled this frame and it had a queen cell on it. And this was after October 1st. So I thought, oh, I was taking the frame, I was going to put it in an observation hive and take it for a talk I was doing. So I saw this queen cell and I said, well, that's interesting. So the next week I had another talk. So I pulled the same frame. Well, she had emerged. So I quick pulled her and made her blue, put a blue dot on her. And the other queen still walking around. The new queen was following the old queen around the hive. And the old queen's pink. So she's a 2023. So I pulled it today just to look. And the blue queen was on a different frame now with fresh eggs. And a couple of the cells had 3 or 4 eggs in them. And then it petered out into having 1. That's a new laying queen pattern. So I don't know if I don't know. It's hard to believe that she got mated. It's hard to
Nancy,
believe,
I wouldn't
but
think that she got made.
You want to go ahead and can you shoot that up? You got the
it's
picture
on
of
my
it.
phone. I have it, but it's on my phone, and
Mm,
I don't know how to. Oh, I guess I could email myself, right,
yeah, you
and then
could.
pull it up.
Or that, or log on your phone onto the chat.
I'm at 17%.
Okay.
Hold on, let me
Or
do
just
something
hold it up
here.
to the hold it
I
up to
do, I
the
do. I want to show it.
hold it up to the screen, and I'll blow you up. Oh, here
Okay,
comes Michelle.
okay.
She's trying to.
All right. Here you go. Here you go.
Mm,
Oh, that's them moving. Okay, so that's not what I wanted to show you, but so I have a still of that. I have a still of that.
yeah,
Hold
try
on,
to show
hold on.
the still.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I clicked on the still.
Up, right.
Oh, come on.
Hey, Matt.
Hold on. Hold on, Charlie. This is
There we
so
go. We got a blue one right there, and then over here is another queen here that's supposed to be red, I think, or pink.
pink. Yeah, it's pink.
It's hard to
So that
back
picture
your
was taken
back
a
your
week
phone up
ago.
just a little bit. Back it up. No. All right, now turn it. Maybe turn it slightly. Nah, it won't work too well that
Yeah.
way.
So I'm gonna email it to myself. But anyway, so that was a week ago. They were on they kept on the same frame within an inch of each other. I mean, that's not even an inch. That's 2 or 3 cells away from each other on here. Now this week when I went in and looked, which I normally wouldn't even pop a lid here in Harleysville in Pennsylvania. I wouldn't even pop a lid this time of year, but this one I'm going to keep looking at because I'm just so curious. And they were on separate frames. They were a frame apart on the outside of the frame. So I don't know.
Well, like I said before, I've had a mother-daughter situation. There she is.
That's the second queen. What we were calling the virgin.
Hmm.
She looks
Both of them.
pregnant, but she could be laying unfertile eggs too.
Yep. Yep. So right. So next week I'll go in and I'll look again. I'm just gonna keep because why not?
Yeah, you never know. But I would think this time of year she wouldn't have got mated very well, if at all.
Mm-mm. No. Someone told me the virgins only last 21 days. Anybody hear that?
Mm,
What, as far as her getting mated, you got to be within 21 days.
Yeah. No matter what time of the year.
Yeah, I know that. Like, if you have a weather problem where they can't get out to fly, it's harder for them to get remated or something, or get mated.
yeah.
So,
The longer they wait to get mated, the less pheromones they put off.
oh, James, how's everything up in Alberta, Canada? There, I seen your latest video showing off your refurb extractor. Looking good. Yeah. I don't know where Michelle tried to click in, but it didn't connect for some reason.
Hi, Russell. I don't get to say hi to you in person too often.
Where we at?
You know
Oh,
who we haven't seen on, or I haven't seen on in a long time? I want to say Mike. Always wears the overalls.
Oh,
Truck
Mike Miller.
driver.
Mike
Yeah.
Miller. Hey, Ian.
Does anybody? Here's Michelle. I had to kill a queen. Oh no. Bait for swarms.
No,
You killed a
I said she
queen.
put her in alcohol.
No, you wanted to squish her right on the frame. Keep her on the frame.
Yep.
But wait a minute. This week? Why this week? Why did you kill a queen this week?
Yeah, really. Because they're not going to make another cell.
She was
Not
not
this.
laying. Oh, well, I'm back. I said she was not laying. Well, what are you getting to carry?
Right thing.
What's going to
She
carry
did the
that
right
hive?
thing by combining hives.
She said she was watching and hoping
Yeah.
something.
What do you? How? What's going to carry that hive through winter now?
She said she
If you
combined.
killed her.
Well, that's what I had this year too. I had a production hive that had a queen there, and it was more of a dud than anything else. Never laid for weeks. Got rid of her, put a new one in here. I don't know, September, I guess. Mated, and she laid up 4 frames of brood. And I guess the rest of the bees didn't like her, and they killed her, and they tried to make their own queen cells.
Hmm. So you combined it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I took
Yeah.
the brood and stuff like that, threw it in some other hives that needed stuff. Hey, Melanie, and I just took the hive away, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a nuke for some reason. They were trying to make a queen. Had queen cells that were capped, and I waited and went back. Queen cells were all gone. No queen, no nothing. So I just went ahead and took the resources out of that, put them in other nukes, and shook the bees that were left in other hives or out in front of the other hives and stuff like that. All right, Ian's corn's done. The sunflowers are getting combined now, and then he's going to chase the combine with the speed disc. Michelle said she was laying drones. And here comes
Evening,
Old
everyone.
McNally, James. Man,
How you doing?
good. I'm glad to see you. I haven't seen you in months.
Yeah, I can't stay long. Wife and I are actually just about to put on a movie, so but I figured I'd pop in here for a little bit and at least say hi.
I seen your video on your Cowan, extractor line. Looking good.
We did a little bit of work to it, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep, a little bit. And all that.
That's definitely a
So,
game changer. I mean, we were well, every time I think we put one batch for that, I think we were spitting out just right around 15 or a little over 15 gallons of honey. So that really worked well.
So you're done extracting.
Done extracting. The bees are in the barn. It was minus.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What barn are they in?
Yeah.
Because you took your barn and made an extraction house out of it.
And then we stripped the extraction house and made a bee barn out of it.
You mean to tell me that you pulled that machine out of that immaculate spick and span barn?
We did.
And put bees in it.
To put bees in it.
Now where's your machine sitting at?
It's at the back of that barn.
Outside.
No, it's all inside. Oh yeah, no, we're not going to put that machine outside now. It's worth way too much money.
So what's it in its own room to begin with, where you shot that video?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah.
So you got a building that's got two separate rooms.
No, what we did is we moved everything out when we put that in, and then we've built a petition between where the bees are and that machine now. So yeah, it's kind of completely separate.
Do you see this comment here?
Leah will start throwing pillows at James. Yeah, yeah. She went upstairs to put her pajamas on, so I'm still safe for about another 2 to 5 minutes. So, but then she'll make a tea, and I think she's out of honey, so she'll have to go out to get some more honey. So, a beekeeper never fails out of honey, right?
Yep.
So,
so have we got a count on how many pounds we've harvested?
I have not totaled it up. Be 20. Somewhere between say 22 and 28,000 pounds.
Okay.
So,
And you did what last year? What was it, 12?
I'd have to go back and look at the numbers again.
I know you sold it all direct.
It's going out the door pretty darn quick here right now. So I'm gonna have to order up another pallet of jars and stuff like that here pretty quick. So my flavored honeys are literally flying off the shelf. So
Is that, you mean your creamed honeys and stuff?
Yeah. So I've got I guess I've got 5 main flavors. So I've got a really good cinnamon, a Haskell berry, a lemon pepper. What else we got out there? Honey butter and a peanut butter. So.
And then you got you were selling barrels to the meadery, and then that other person had that grape juice or whatever it's called.
Yep. Yeah. Eagle Farms there. So.
Are they still buying stuff from you?
They haven't bought any from me for a little while, so it's interesting because they have the Haskell berry farm. So, like a lot of businesses, support each other. Everybody wins. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So,
okay. Well, that's good. You got more videos coming out?
Yeah, I've got a bunch. So I got a little bit of time here now. Get some edited up. So I've got a couple there on how we made the bee escapes. I've got one that I'm trying to finish up and put together about the queens that I grafted in the barn last year. So get that one put together. Alan and I took a ton of footage this year, but it was an extremely busy year and even a busier fall. So, we had our butts handed to us here at the end of the year. So, I don't know what the exact total count is. 198 colonies, I think we lost. And so,
man,
due to the high virus counts, things like that. So, trying to understand.
Is that because of your neighbors over there that don't know what the treatment is?
No. So we've eliminated some of that. I think this was just plain and simple. We didn't catch it in time. So, but I have to understand why. We had a really, really weird year up here this year. The year started off great. We got the bees out of the barn early. They were super strong. To the point where we split them and those colonies became strong. We had an excellent dandelion flow. Harvested a little bit of the dandelion honey, not a lot, just because that dandelion flow came on, and then we had nothing. We had a dearth probably within the first month where we should have a nectar flow. Some of the clover started to bloom. We had a few of the poplar trees start, coming around, and we had another dearth. So, got the crops and stuff like that planted in, got a little bit, the alfalfa and stuff like that started to come up. And then we had hot, dry weather and nothing. We had a week there. Well, actually, we probably had about 3 weeks there where there was no nectar flow coming in at all.
Yeah. I know Brad talked about the dandelions were in perfect bloom.
Yeah.
But the weather was too cold or whatever for them to get out and fly.
Oh no, we had an incredible nectar flow on the dandelions here. We were packing When it finally warmed up and the nectar flow started, they literally filled a box in about I'm going to say 4 or 5 days. They completely, we were dropping extra boxes on, early in the year, I was dancing around thinking I've never seen this before. That was going to be great. Then the canola bloomed, and the canola bloomed up here for a grand total of 5 days, and then burnt off. So, and we had nothing after that. So, up until we pulled all the honey, we pulled like the end of I'm going to say the last week. I'll say 2 weeks. The last third week of I guess it'd be September. Believe it or not, we had a honey flow. So I'm out there feeding the bees. Couldn't figure out why they're not taking anything. Take a look, and we got a honey flow third week of September. Good news is the boxes are packed out. Bad news is it's not the sugar water that I would prefer to have in there. But they won't. Well, you got to flow that time of year. They're not going to take the sugar water. So,
Yeah.
and then of course now we were lucky. We got them all moved in the barn. Literally, the night before it snowed up here, and we had minus 15. I think Tuesday or Wednesday was minus 15 degrees Celsius up here. So winter's here.
You say minus 15?
Correct.
Then that's 5 degrees Fahrenheit.
So
That's pretty cold. And how much snow did you get? How many inches or centimeters, I guess?
Well, we what did we get? We had here you got handy dandy chart for centimeters to inches. We got 15 centimeters of snow, so 2.5 centimeters to an inch. So we still got snow here. The backyard is still all white, completely covered.
So you got about 7 inches of snow then.
So it like I said, winter's here. So now I get to spend the winter figuring out what beat me. What beat us? What beat Alan and I here this last year? As you know, digging into my notes, and I will figure it out, and I will put things in place to make sure that it doesn't catch me again.
Well, and then did you get a bee moving truck?
Never ever did get that all figured out. So the deal was there. He just literally had to show up. I went out there 3 or 4 times to try and pay him for the truck and get it, and he just never ever seemed to be around. So, but it's still sitting there. I don't know if the deal is still good or not, but we'll wait and see. Like I said, this 2024 was an expensive year for us. The spring of 2025 looks like it might be an expensive year too, or at least an expensive spring. So right now we're just focusing on selling this honey, getting us a bank account built back up there, and then we will hit it again.
So right now, as far as moving your bees in, you've been doing it with the trailer and the tractor with the forklifts and all that?
Well, we had so few this year. Alan and I did it. We didn't use a tractor or a forklift. He grabbed one side of the pallet, I grabbed the other, and we lifted them up, and away we went. Now, it was back-breaking work, but once again, we didn't have that many to do.
There's this thing called a hive lifter that you might have had.
Yep.
It's got arms on it. I think you got.
I had so few bees at each yard, Charlie. It really didn't work moving the lifter around. We would go in. We'd go into a yard, and
I can lift the lifter up myself.
But you stop to think 40 hives into a yard, and we were pulling. In some cases, we were pulling 6-10 hives out of there. That's all that would have been left.
Oh, you mean because of the dead owls?
It was a devastating year. Yep.
Hmm.
So, but that's okay. I'm going to learn from it.
Yeah, but you know what? You still got, what was it you said? 20-some thousand pounds?
20, between 22 and 28. Yeah.
For what you got in honey, and what has been devastating as far as losing that amount of hives, I think you did pretty good.
Well, there's nowhere in the business plan did it have that put in there. Let me tell you. So,
Well,
What are your thoughts on those losses? Like, what are you thinking on the cause?
so we know what the cause was. I actually took samples, sent them in. My virus count came back through the roof. So, now oddly enough, we shook the. So this is the first year I didn't shake every colony. I just had too many to shake every colony. But I was shaking anywhere between 3 and 7% mite count. Hit them all with. Well, they all have 4 rounds of oxalic acid, and yeah, larger than the recommended dose too. I think I was somewhere between 3 or 4 grams each time. Every 7 days they would get hit, so every hive got hit every 7 days for 4 rounds. The mite drop that was in the bottom was substantial. Doing the shakes here now, I'm 0.5 to 0.7%, I guess, somewhere in around there on average. So that's not too bad. But my fear is the damage may have already been done. So my fear is what is going to happen with that hive virus count in the barn now. So and unfortunately, that's just one that I'm going to have to wait.
and the thing of it is, James, you and Ian, and I think Brad, all you guys up there, and even down here some too. It seems like it was harder to control the mites this year.
Oh, for sure. Well, there's another factor in there that I'm trying to understand, because 1 yard, so my mating nuke yard seemed to be 100% completely unaffected. My mite counts in that yard, now I grafted them from my queens, and doing the mite shakes in that yard. Now they got all treated with oxalic acid as well. The mite shakes in that yard were all less than 3%. So every colony, and those ones I did shake. And out of my mating yard, out of all those new queens, I think we lost 4. I want to say 4 or 5 hives. I'll have to check with Alan, but they were lost. Keep in mind, these are these mini mating nuke boxes. Those were lost due to wasps. We'd lift the lid off, and a wasp colony completely moved into those hives. So that is what devastated those hives. That wasn't a virus count, and it wasn't mites. So interesting enough, that line and that yard seem to be different. So there's a couple things that I'm working on, couple theories that I'm working on, and it's just going to take a little bit of time to prove my hypothesis here. So
Right. Yeah. It's like you say, beekeeping's farming, and you never can be a sure thing on anything.
no, well, the sure thing is it'll change next year.
Yeah.
So,
But I kind of look at it this way, James. You're at a bigger level than me, or most of us. But on the other hand, you still have the same, I'll say, growing. Where last year you had a 12 frame extractor. Yeah. You growed some. Now you got a 60 frame license, or not license, but a Cowan extraction line with a wax spinner off to the side. And there's a hurdle that you've overcome for next year.
Well, and that did take a lot of time. So that did take a lot of time. I'm not going to.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
I'm not going to say away from the bees, but it did take a lot of additional time, to get all that rebuilt, and we had to do a lot of work to it.
Right. But what I'm getting at is that your hurdle was the fact that you went from something, because you couldn't get the other extractors because of COVID and whatever, but you overcome that hurdle, and now you got yourself a commercial extraction line because you're at that level. You've been at that level and coping with small extraction line. You got over that. Now you got that over with. Now you got, next thing I'll say next year is probably mobility of moving hives with less work, physical work, with some type of hive lifting machine of some sort, whether it be on a truck or a skid steer or something of that nature.
Mhm.
And this year you built your wax dipper this year, and and then you were dipping, you had to get more woodenware and trying to keep up with that, keep up with the frames.
And that'll be the woodenware will be it'll be a challenge for us for we figure probably the next 3 to 5 years. So now that is one really good thing.
You got built up comb.
All except for, I'm going to say, probably 50 to 100 frames is completely drawn out comb now. So I think we did a count a little better than 2,200 frames. We managed to get drawn out this year. And so
Right, but I mean, you got all these different hurdles that you're overcoming from one year to the next, which hopefully the next year is a little bit less challenging for you.
well, and there's so for example, Alan and I talked about that. In fact, I think Brad and I talked about it there a little bit too. Is this something that so that trying to figure all this stuff out? One of the questions came up is, did we grow too fast? And everybody always will tell you, okay, your bees will tell you what level you're at, and I don't believe that is the case. And the reason I say that is we still got around to every single apiary on the same schedule as we did last year. We were able to do manipulate the hives pretty much the same way we did last year. The thing that I didn't maybe understand as much, and Ian's helped me out there a little bit too, is I did not understand maybe the relationship between the multiple dearths we had and the mite count. So that is something that with the dearths, of course, the queen would start to lay and then stop, start to lay and then stop, start to lay and then stop. And because of that, that may have very well given the mites the leg up without the bee count to keep it going, and that may have all come to a head at the end of the year. So,
well, dude, you normally have multiple dearths. I didn't sound like you had that last year.
No. We usually get a the honey flow and stuff like that stops. We usually get one dearth later on in the season, and then we'll get a short honey flow the second time around. But yeah, we don't get anything like what we had this year. This year was an anomaly.
So I have a question for you, and it was just expanding on what you just said. Would you consider those dearths to be natural brood breaks, or you think?
So I wouldn't say a brood break. There was still brood in there, but my queens, I don't know if you've watched some of my videos. My queens, when they come out, I've spent the last multiple years doing a lot of genetic selection, if you will. My bees came out of the barn with 7 to 8 frames, wall to wall, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Brood.
Wow.
And that's how they came out of the barn. They came, so April 1st, we took them out of the barn.
Yeah.
And they had already been laying like that. And they went from hard like that to nothing. So yeah, it's a lot of area for a lot of mice to grow and explode very, very quickly. So, and I think I took some of those videos, and I think I did put those up early in the year. Charlie was making a comment on them. But yeah, my frames, and when they lay them up, the queens are doing it, they did exceptionally well. But a few different factors I'm trying to understand with those two, but yeah,
but your queens lay literally corner to corner.
So
I don't think there's 1 square inch without a cell.
and it's not an anomaly. I mean, we see that hive after hive after hive after hive after hive. In fact, I think one night, I think it was either yours or Bob's live. I looked at the apiary and I said, "You guys pick one." And we walked over and opened that one up, and it was the exact same thing. So and the good news is a lot of that line is what is in my mating nukes currently in the barn. So that really is my insurance for next year if I can get those mini mating nukes. So they're too high, and this is an experiment for me. I've never overwintered the queens in these little hives. Ironically enough, I reached out today to a researcher in Lethbridge, and their whole research program that they're doing this year is around exactly what I'm doing. So I reached out to her, and she says, "Well, send me a quick note of what you're doing," and my phone rang probably shortly thereafter that. She's like, "That's exactly what we want to try. Like, tell us how you're doing it. What are the pros? What are the cons?" And this is my first year, so I don't know if they're going to make it through or not. But basically, in the size of a regular Langstroth box is 4, if you will, nucleus colonies. So each one with their own queen. So I got 8 colonies on every pallet that I put into the barn. So it's going to give me some very good early queens if I can get them through winter next year.
Yeah.
So,
And how big are these boxes the queens are in? Are they like a nuke or something smaller?
well, they're 1/4 of a Langstroth box.
So it'd be what, three frames?
No, there is 5 frames in each one.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they are 2 deep. So, and they're only a medium.
Oh.
So, right.
Okay. There's your quarter. 2 deep, Charlie.
So
2 deeps.
1, 2, 3, 4.
there's
Two
4.
two apiece. Two.
No.
Yeah.
So in every Langstroth box, just take the center and draw center to center. Divide that Langstroth box in 4.
You're talking about mini frames.
My mini mating frame. Yeah, and I made mini frames. Yeah. I do have a video on my site on what I was doing, and you can see some of my mating nuke yards here, videos from this year too. They're on there. So,
Hey, Brad.
Evening,
Hey,
Brad.
everybody.
Hey, Boots.
Evening. And Mr. Bootsy. Miss Kitty is right here.
I was
but
going to
she's
ask
off
his
camera. See,
name.
that's Miss Kitty. You can only see the end of Miss Kitty.
Boots.
Or
that's
tail.
Mr. Bootsy.
I see what you're saying now, James. So you actually had small frames, and you got 5. You got four quadrants.
There's 4 quadrants, each one with 5 frames, and there's a video on how I made those frames. In fact, I made a nice little jig to make out my own end bars and stuff like that too, which worked amazingly well. I think I don't know. I grabbed what I had for scrap lumber, and I think I ended up making something like I don't know what the heck it was, 3,500 end bars. And
That's a great thing. You can use almost anything to make end bars. They're so small.
And I was trying to figure out how to do it and put that dado blade in there and made a jig. And,
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
guess I don't know whether Ian's question is for you or not. Is you understand
How
that?
many of those queen banks survived the summer call? All of them. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Hi to Brian from Wisconsin. If you're new, greetings.
Have you, Charlie, seen the mini mating nukes that I've had on my channel in the past? They weren't really recent, so maybe you haven't gone back. I'm just using that as a reference. If you haven't seen James's, it's the same thing, really.
Yeah. You were building them in the shop, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, I built them in a shop, but I showed them on my channel. I used them for a couple of years.
Okay.
That's it. That's the guy I got the idea from.
Mm-hmm. along with
I stole it from somebody else.
Now
along with the 2-way pallets and all that stuff.
So,
welcome to my shop.
I was going to say, I will say I had a hell of a time to try and get those bees to draw those small frames out.
Yeah.
I had a bugger of a time, but they're all drawn out now. So,
did you just put them on as honey super? Is that what you?
I put them on as a honey super.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
I tried everything, and the only thing that worked for me was just use them as a honey. To me, you know, if I go to use those, it's a 2-year process because year 1, they're a honey super. Year 2, they're drawn. They can go into a
Yeah.
mating nuke.
Well, ironically enough, so we still had some on at I was saying earlier, we had a late, really late flow. And we just put them on there thinking, okay, well, you know what, we'll see what it draws out. They drew those out and they filled those in about
Nice.
a 1 week period. And
Nice. I know.
now I'm trying to figure out how the hell to extract the honey out of them. So to have to dig out that 12-frame extractor.
Yeah, you need this little 2-frame Vivor I got.
So,
And actually, those little minis, they'll actually sit in my 33-frame Kelly.
oh, there you go.
So I can do a whole batch of those little guys in there.
Yeah.
I was wondering the same thing until I tried it, and I thought, hey, this works.
Well, I ended up putting most of them back on as so those little hives now are 2 deep, and they got all that up there for food.
Little feed box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So we'll see how they turn out.
So, but you made the singles, didn't you? You didn't make the quads.
How do you mean?
Well, what I can't remember the things we talked about.
So
The single mini mating nukes, but
correct.
they're individual units. They're just a
Correct.
quarter size.
Correct.
Yeah. See, I never made those really to use. I just made it was a medium actually.
Right.
And
Well,
I just divided it,
you know,
which
one
I
of the
didn't
things-
like. I didn't
one of
like
the-
those.
I like them being singles, and here's one of the things that I found. So for the most part, they were only a single deep, right? That's all they were. But if I wanted to introduce a queen to a large box, I literally would go out, I'd pull the feeder plug out, I'd throw a piece of paper towel down and drop that box on top and walk away. They would chew that paper towel out, introduce that queen. She would go down in the bottom box, and what a simple way to introduce a queen to a hive. Man, did that work slick.
Nice.
You know?
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, you really didn't have to think at all about it. You literally grabbed that whole thing, that whole single, you know, from wherever. You know, the lid was already still on it because each lid has its own signal lid. I'd put one on the top, one on the bottom, throw it in the back of the truck until I got to where I needed to go, pull the bottom off, set it, you know, pull the feeder plug, drop the hive on there and walk away. You know.
Oh, you just set that little box right on top of the feed hole.
Right on top of the feed hole with a piece of paper.
Kidding.
Yeah, piece of paper towel there, and drop that little box.
I'm glad you tried that because I would not have thought that would work, but it does.
Oh, it works. It works slick. Let me tell you, if you grab the whole pallet if you wanted, and now all of a sudden you got 8 queens that you can introduce literally in less than 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Pull the plug, drop it down, and move on.
So okay, so nothing's 100%. How many of those did you do, and how many failed?
What did we do? We must have done probably 30, 35 of them like that, and I don't think a single one failed.
No kidding.
So yeah, I don't think a single one failed. So
that's a great idea.
They should winter over good in a shed. I winter mine over outside.
So
how many days did you give them?
Oh, 7. I'd come back 7 days later.
Give them a week. Yeah.
And
they'd probably be down there about 3 or 4 days, but you want to leave them alone, eh?
Yeah, it just fit right in my schedule, right? So go to work, come back out the next week, check it out, and away you'd go.
Oh, that's too cool.
But,
that's way too cool.
Every now and then something's got to work out.
Something's got to work. Yeah. If I ever get time in the shop, I'm going to build myself some of those minis. But are yours deeps?
No, mine are just mediums.
They're mediums.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I actually I like the mediums. And the thing that I like the most out of them is you pull one of the frames out of the side. You can look very, very quickly. It gives you more than enough room. You can find the queen in that box in.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's not hard. Yeah.
So
you trimmed your end bars, right? 1 1/4 inch?
I did.
Yeah, that's key.
So
because they're pretty tight if you don't.
Yeah, I made them. basically I just made them that little bit
Well,
small.
yeah, you'd make them that size. Yeah, yeah, and I'll expand on what I just said that James was doing, because not everybody kind of has had that experience. So if you divide a 10 frame box, put a divider in it, and then try and run 5 frames on each side, you'll learn that those 5 frames are really tight. Like, you can do it, and there's a little slop, but there's not much. They're really tight in there.
And they'll propolis that together in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's awful. So I was going to build some of these for a friend, and I did a little bit of reading, and it was actually one of the articles that Michael Bush wrote, and he talked about the comb spacing, center to center comb spacing that is found in nature. And I don't remember the upper limit because I wasn't interested in that number, but the lower limit for comb spacing generally is 1.25 inches. 1 3/8 is standard for the frames that we use in our boxes. The plastic frames seem to be a little narrower than the wooden ones. So in those side-by-side 5s, if you use plastic frames, they're not quite as tight. But in that article, he said the 1 3/8 is just kind of a compromise between honey and brood. He said the size of the cell is proportional to the spacing of the comb. The larger the cell, the wider the comb gets. And we all know that if you put your frames with a space that in a honey super, then they'll build a comb out, right? They still end up with that much space. So I started trimming the end bars by 2 1/4 inches, and did that work out nice. It works perfectly in a brood chamber, and it makes that 5 frame unit easy to manage, because you've got a little more space. Well, you got over 1 inch.
Yeah.
Right. 1/8, not quite 1 inch more. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So
And
I
we
took that to the next degree, and Ian was joking one day. He said to somebody, he said, "Yeah, I want to get that 11th brood frame in my box." And I heard that, and I said, "Hey, let me work on that." So
we actually found there's a manufacturer here in Grand Prairie that started making frames. And a lot of people don't like his frames because they were that much smaller. And originally he just thought, well, you know what? He was saving a little bit of lumber. He could get one more out of a board.
Yeah.
And it ended up nobody liked the frames. I bought a whole pile of them.
Oh yeah.
Because I can get 11. I can get 11 brood.
You get 11 frames in that, but you get an extra frame of feed for your winter box.
Exactly.
Right. And so yeah, so that's what I told him. I said, if you shave your end bars 1.25 inches instead of 1 3/8, then you get 10 more 1/8 of an inch, which is 1.25 inches, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one more frame. So that's how you get your 11th frame in there. So, but he's got to shave all of his frames and in a honey box, it doesn't matter because you space them out to 9 anyway, generally.
Right. Yeah.
And so I don't know why they're not 1.25 inches. They should be.
So.
Yeah, Paul, that is a Canadian, or actually American, 1.25 inches.
That's a Canadian 1.25
I was
inches.
going to say, don't get me on this Canadian and American 3/4 inch stuff.
Mother Lake makes medium frame feeders for the mini mating nukes.
Well, I got no problem because each one of them has the same hole in the top.
Yes, DC.
So, so it easily accepts the standard, gallon pail on top of it. It works. They work.
I don't feed pails, so they work good for me.
So, but I did something else I found this year is the first time ever over here is wax moths. So we did. I only found them in one box, but I did find wax moths took over one of the weaker hives there at the end. But so I got those pot lickers over here now too.
So DC asked a question. That's a good question because I thought of that too, and I don't know because I haven't done it. Wooden narrower frames cause problems in the automatic uncapper. I think it would be okay, but it might need an adjustment. I'm not sure because I haven't done it. So
well, if you
I'm
guys
still trying. Well,
My-
I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure out a jig, and maybe you can think on this, James, for the winter. Figure out a jig that you can take, and I'm thinking something that maybe employs a small, cheap block plane, a jig that you can take to the field and take the frame out of your hive and go zip, zip, and cut that much off of each side so that the frame is still centered, and make it 1.25 inches.
They actually
Timber.
make a tool for that in the boat industry, in the boat building industry.
Okay.
Don't ask me why. That's something you'll have to watch the channel for too. But they do make that in the boat industry to shave the same amount off of a piece of lumber every time.
But you need something that's going to register on the top bar,
Mm-hmm.
top and bottom
Mhm.
bar,
Mhm.
and then size it from there to a maximum of 1.25 inches. So that's what that tool would do, James.
I do believe it'll do that. Yeah.
Oh, you have to send me a link to that tool.
I
I want to adapt that thing.
Yeah, I'll send you a video.
Hey, Todd,
Hey, how's
Hey,
everyone?
say hi to
Anyways,
Miss Kitty.
I'm going to jump off here, guys. Like I say, we were going to try and find a video, and Leah's been nice enough sitting here and not saying a darn thing.
Thanks,
So,
Leah.
Hello.
so
Well, good. I'm glad you stopped in, James. Give us an update and everything.
ab-
Things are-
absolutely. Like I say, I got a little bit more time now that all the bees are in the barn, and I do have a few projects that I plan on taking on in the wood shop here again. So, and I have time to get a few videos edited there now. So,
So
get some of
more-
them there too.
Does that mean more pallet building?
Well, we were discussing that as well as to how many more pallets that we want to build. So, there's a bunch that we kind of have got to look at and decide and see which way we want to go.
Well, we'll talk about that at a later time.
Alrighty, have a good
All
night.
right. Well, have a good
Right.
time tonight
See you,
watching
James.
the movie.
See you.
See you.
So I have a question. And you guys might be able to help me figure this one out. So I bought migratory covers from Bob Binney. So it's that wood. I forget what it's called.
HDO.
Lasts forever.
No.
You know what I'm talking about, right? But in the middle of those is a feeding hole. It's the size of a small jar, or a
70
regular,
millimeter.
not a wide mouth, but a regular. And when I bought the lids, I bought them at the expo a couple years ago. They had a little lid already in there, didn't have any holes or anything. But so I had to pop that lid out to put my bucket on, right? Well, now that lid is ruined. But how am I going to keep, what am I going to use to fill that hole? So I did put lids in, other lids from mason jars, and they all leak. I need a fail-proof something to fill that hole in those migratory covers.
Well, find out what lid he uses. You could probably get some of those.
It's a
But Phil the
but
Bee Man, if you ever see his channel, he doesn't actually put something in the hole. Like I have the yellow plugs, right, to go in the hole. He actually just has a little square of metal with a hole drilled in one corner. He puts a screw, and it's super easy. He just swings it aside when he wants to feed, and he swings it back when he wants to cover it. Never blows away. It's a piece of metal, so it doesn't get eaten up by the sun like the yellow plugs I use. Doesn't
Yeah.
get lost. It's always there. That's what he
but
does.
will the rain is it moisture proof?
Moisture proof as it needs to be, because as soon as you cover that, the bees are going to go up and caulk that thing closed. They're going to seal it. If it's going to leak,
Yeah.
the bees are going to take care of that.
Right. So I need to get so the lids that fit are a regular
Yeah.
ball jar, mason jar. You
Yeah,
know, there's
yeah.
wide mouth lids and there's but
Yeah.
it's you pop that out one time with a
Yeah.
hive tool, you give it a good whack to get that thing out, you can't ever get that back in.
So those
You'd be
holes
going through
are bigger than what Phil the Bee Man uses. So your little piece of metal is going to have to be bigger than what he uses. And it's not a piece of tin. It's not a really thin thing because you want to make sure it stays flat. If it starts to get
Heavy.
bent or something, then it's not going to work, right? You have to be able to slide it over, slide it back multiple times without bending it at all. It has to be a fairly thick piece of metal. But that's all it
Yeah.
is. It's just a square piece of metal with a hole in one corner, drives a screw through it.
And you
It just is a little
put
swinging door. Yeah, that's genius.
So where do I get those from?
You make them.
Or do I just run out to my machine shop?
Yep.
No, now you would
You could go to a machine shop and say, I want 20 of these. You know,
Yeah.
either that
Well, I'm
or
thinking
look at them real
plumbing.
fast there.
what about a heating shop that does heat?
They might not have metal that's thick enough because heating duct metal wouldn't be thick enough. It would bend too easy.
And
What about some of that PVC wood and just put it over it? With a
Yeah,
brick
I
on
don't
it?
know how that stuff holds up in the sun. Does it hold up in the sun okay,
Yeah.
Mike?
Pretty good.
Yeah. You've got a
No.
bit of thickness there, but
Well, you can get
pretty.
it down to 1/2 inch,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah, this stuff that Phil uses is as thick as a quarter kind of thing.
yeah, but I'm talking plastic and
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I-
any
now-
kind of material like that that's going to stay flat, and not get eaten by the sun.
at the very worst, what you could do is get a piece of the same material, put it underneath that hole, trace out, take a pencil and trace out the edge, cut that cut that board with a jigsaw so you have a round piece of wood.
I
Glue,
could do that.
get a square piece of wood, doesn't matter what thickness. You glue it on top of that round, and you, if you want, throw a couple screws in there, and then you could plug the hole with that, and your handle would be the bigger piece of
Yeah, a lot of
rectangular
people will do
square
that.
wood.
They'll
What
drill the
about
hole
this?
with a hole saw, and then they'll take the
That too,
plug
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and fasten it to a bigger piece of plywood or
What
something.
about
and it
what
just
about
sits in there.
how about a square metal box cover, electrical box cover? You got a screw hole there that you can use for a pivot point to move it around,
they're usually galvanized too.
and it's galvanized.
See, that's
Oh, yeah.
Charlie. That's where I got to go
Yeah.
to like another area that you would use something like either plumbing or an electrical, and I
Well,
can
this
go
here
and
would be
That actually would work perfectly.
this
Yeah,
one
and
here is
it's
an
galvanized.
electrical square box cover.
Yeah, it's
Get
heavy
a
enough.
like a 4x4 or
A
something like
4x4,
that.
and it's
And the
it's a
corners
fairly
is
good
where the
size.
screws are. You got
Yeah,
the hole
yeah.
already bored in it. You don't have to do anything to it, but put a wood screw through it into the top of your lid. You're done. And it's tough. That stuff is tough.
and then if when they do propolize it, which I want them to do, then I would just unscrew it a little bit and then pop my Hive tool and flip it up, right,
Yeah,
Brad?
generally they don't propolize it enough that you can still slide it back. It just gives it a little bit of
Oh, okay.
friction,
Okay.
normally. But then again, you can just kind of massage that screw a little bit to make it work if it's ever a problem.
Now Michael says hardy board. Isn't that cement
Yeah,
board?
I was thinking of that. I was thinking of hardy board, or actually getting the circles or whatever it is, wax dipped, so then it would last longer, or just be a little, I don't know, maybe expand a little in the heat, and then the water, like, I don't know.
Part of it depends on if you mind something being thicker on top of the lid. If you don't want something thicker, obviously you have to stay thin. If you don't mind thicker, then yeah, absolutely, anything like that would work.
The ends already have a little lip on them anyway, I think.
Yeah.
They do, or don't they? I forget. No, they don't. No, they don't have it on the top. I don't. Oh, now, geez, you see them every day and you forget what they look like. But anyway, I haven't been using them because I can't get them to stop leaking. Now, when I have a bucket on or a jar or whatever, they work great. But and I'm still running inner covers, so I can't just do the double bubble and then put that. I thought maybe that was the original, was the double bubble, and that sealed the water out. The double
Now Mike,
bubble.
Mike or Mark says Lowe's has got nail plates.
How many are we talking? Nancy?
I'm running 30. I want 30 of them. 30, 30,
Because
35,
those
40.
electrical plates would probably be ideal. They might cost you a little bit. That's all.
Oh no, I only have, hold on a second. I misspoke. I have 20 of these lids from
Yeah.
Bob Binney.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
20 of them. So
Yeah.
so 20. Huh. All right. I
Yep.
knew you guys would help me figure this out because I can't, as a woman, I can't go to Lowe's or and say, well, there was one hardware store I can do that, but I'd have to take the lid in with me and explain, like, this is
I
what
do
I
that
want
to
to
my
do.
hardware
But
store all the
here,
time. I'll go in
They,
and to the plumbing
they,
guy and say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. It has nothing to do with plumbing, but I know plumbing stuff
yeah,
will fix my problem. And we put a bunch of stuff together, and then I go to the checkout with all this pieces.
take your lid and take a piece of cardboard, just trace the hole and bring it with you. Say, I need a plate to cover
yeah,
this
yeah,
size hole.
Yeah, because it's going to have to
yeah.
be a bit bigger than that hole because it's not going to have a positive stop. So you want to make sure when you slide it over that, it's not really close to not covering the hole.
And they
Well, if I
also have
screw it
round
in,
ones, round plates.
They do.
yeah, when I go to, like, I have a drill on my golf cart.
Yeah,
So in the winter, like when I'm done, like now, I could just tighten the screw up a little bit in there, and
absolutely.
then in spring when or whatever, I could loosen it up to be able to maneuver that. But
His
otherwise, I'd want
are
it to
kind of firm.
So,
He actually, I think he pushes it with his Hive tool. Like I think it's fairly stiff.
where are you located?
outside of Philadelphia, north of Philadelphia.
So you get freezing nights and stuff. What do you
Oh
do?
yeah.
What do you do? That would be a place for moisture to drip. I would think, being metal or freeze at least, unless you're
Well, no,
putting.
I'm following you, but this lid now for winter when we're freezing, I have an inner cover, and then I use a medium super that I put double bubble, and I put
Oh, all right. I was just
burlap.
afraid you were going to be dripping down on your bees.
No, the
All
bees
right.
will be, the that'll be okay. I mean, the reason I'm doing it is for moisture, but in the freezing nights and stuff, it would just be solid. But in the summer, spring, fall, I need that to be watertight.
I agree with DC. Just take the lid. I need to do this, right? That's their job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Huh.
I just didn't know if there was something I wasn't
And those
already,
yellow plugs I use, they're not perfect. They don't last that long. Couple seasons. I got to keep replacing them, and they're about 35 cents a piece, maybe 40. And I take them out in the fall to feed, and then I have to put them somewhere. I can't leave them on the hive; the wind blows them away. And then I have to go get them when I want to take my pails off. And then I go to my out yard, as you saw in my last video, or moving bees. I didn't take a plug, so now I don't have a plug and I have to stuff it with grass.
Now you're talking
Stuff like
about the metal. They do make plastic square covers.
Yep.
well, like Brad was saying though, the plastic, I
What's the
want them to
sun gonna
last a
do?
little longer than 2-3 years.
Yeah, the
You
sun
know,
beats up the plastic.
yeah, the little so I have some shims I bought years ago, and it has, the one end had a little plastic plug, and 5 years they just become brittle and just,
Hail Hive's 4-inch square electrical box cover, Home Depot, 98 cents.
yeah. I took a
Eh,
picture of that. Thanks, Hale.
Bob's your uncle. $20 and you got your problem
20
solved.
bucks you're done.
Bob's your uncle.
22 and you have a
Hey,
backup.
$1.59. I like that. That's down my alley here. $1.59. All right, thanks.
Pail, plug, and a brick. That works, Brad.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
What did you say? Say it again.
Brad was just saying, what do you do with the plugs? Well,
Oh, yeah.
we
Well,
feed
then I
them.
got to have a brick,
Yeah.
but then the pail doesn't blow away. So
Yeah.
that's good. I saw you do that, Doug. I I saw you put the plug under the brick, and I thought, yeah, that's thinking.
All right, what about this mainstay plastic lids? I'm not sure what that lids fit.
Plastic's tough on top of a box, though. That sun will kill it.
Yeah.
It'll
Some
crack.
plastic.
It'll be toast before you know it. It's got to be wood or metal.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm not doing bricks. I don't have bricks. I'm not going and buying 50 bricks.
That brick does a lot of messaging too, Brad, depending on how it's sitting there.
Yeah. I do that too.
Yeah. I learned that from Todd.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people use push
Whole new
pins. I
language.
use bricks.
Yeah.
I have bricks too.
It's easy to see.
I hate
Right
bricks.
now they're all
That's one
standing
reason
up because they've been oxalic acided.
That's one of the reasons I hate polystyrene boxes, because of the bricks. I hate bricks. But I digress.
Because then you end up tripping over them. They're down at your feet because you got to take them off, and then
I can't carry that.
they
many
get covered
bricks
in
across the yard,
grass, and yeah.
right? I want to take 20 bricks over there. I got to make 5 or 6 trips.
Yeah, I have a handful of bricks down. I started.
The tractor,
Mine stay on year round.
You can bring a bucket full over, Brad.
Yeah.
My bricks stay on year round. So
yeah, so do ours.
I don't know. I hope he sent me a picture of basically a wooden plug with a piece of Luan nailed to it, and where you just kind of push it down in a hole.
The brick will cover the yellow plug too, Brad, so we get 3 years out of a plug instead of
3 years out of the plug. Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Because the sun wouldn't beat it up so much.
I don't know though. If a brick would cover the hole that Nancy's that's on top of the lid that she has, I don't think
it's not going to be. It's not going to keep the water out, which the whole point of having it covered was because of the water from rain running in. Because the lids, I mean, yeah, I could buy regular ball lids and change them out every time, but when you pop them out, you crunch them. Like it's you can't use the same.
How do you pop them out? Because you could pry them out from the inside, from the underneath of the lid. It depends on how they're.
He pries them out from the top.
Yeah, he pries them off from the top. So
yeah.
I can't do. I don't know. I could never do it. I have to punch them out from the bottom. I try it every which way.
Anything you could take a lid, drill a hole in it, and get yourself a knob with a screw and put a rubber washer under it, and then you just pull them out. Do it that way.
You gotta get some nice hardware from the store, though. You got to get a nice drawer pull or something from the store.
Yeah, drawer pull.
Yeah, it would be fancy.
$5.95 for this drawer pull. You could probably get one with a honeycomb pattern or something on it.
Oh,
there you go.
That would match. That would go along with the ensemble.
Or get yourself a wooden thread. I don't know what they still make them. A wooden thread spool, and then it's got a hole.
The rain and sun would kill that, though.
Yeah.
I wish it was twisty. I wish the hole that was in the box already had
threads.
Where you could twist something in and twist it back out. What do you call that? Rivets?
Threaded.
Threaded. I wish the holes in the box were threaded.
Yeah, Jeff Bear says you can do a PVC pressure
plug.
They're only $15 a piece.
Yeah, is that all?
Steve and Daisy's problem solved. I didn't even think about this. Steve and Daisy's son, he said, why don't you just get the jar and twist it on there and pull the jar? You get the lid.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You gotta find the right size jar. That'll fix your problem real quick.
Well,
it sounds too simple.
I didn't even think about that.
Right. So I'd screw it in, take the jar off, right?
And the lid comes with it.
But there's no there's threads in that lid. There's no threads. You have to punch it in. And then you have to punch it out. There's no threads.
But when it's in, the lid has threads when it's in there. screw the
Yeah,
jar
the
into it.
lid has threads on the inside there, so
When the
it's
lid
just
is in
like-
the
Oh,
in the
now I'm
cover,
gonna go down back and get one. I'm gonna go get a
screw the
lid.
jar in there.
No, you don't have to get a lid. You got to get a jar that matches the lid that's in those.
Yeah,
those
I got them.
lids.
I got them. The regular size, not
Yeah,
wide mouth. The regular.
mason jars.
I
Yeah,
have them. I
and
have
then-
tons of them.
And then you just.
But I never thought of that. Wow, look at
You
that.
throw it in there real tight and then pull the jar out. And the
Now
lid.
you don't even have to
crazy,
go to the
isn't it?
hardware store.
It's so crazy, it might actually work.
So stupid simple.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
Yeah.
There you go. What?
Yeah.
That's-
What's that saying?
I would try that first, Nancy, and then if you need to construct something, go that route. You know, if the bottle trick doesn't work.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, we got that hammered out and figured out.
Yeah.
We went the long way around the barn for that one,
Oh
didn't
my
we?
goodness. We had 15 different ways of doing it. All you got to do is get a jar and screw it in and pull it back out. And then put it back in and screw the jar off.
We are
Just
a bunch
make
of
sure you don't
Einsteins,
just
aren't we?
make sure you don't break the jar.
Well, yeah, that's what you don't want to do.
So, Mike, what's happening with you all up in your way? Are you getting snow or is it just regular warm weather still?
Actually, it's really nice. It's extremely warm for this time of year. I was out.
Yeah.
I did 3 yards this morning. I vaporized them.
Did you?
Yeah.
How much what's the temperature up there in the 50s, 60s?
Yeah, it's been 60s. There was ice on the windshield this morning, but it was
Oh, really? It got
65
that
this
cold?
afternoon. Oh, yeah. We've had several hard frosts. Leaves are coming down like crazy.
Right. And then you're using what is it? The what machine vaporizer are you using?
I'm using the big one. I have a pair of the ProVaps.
You got the ProVap?
Yeah.
ProVaps.
No, what do you have?
Instant Vap.
InstaVap.
Yeah, I have InstaVaps. I have 2 of them. And a mud bucket full of batteries.
You betcha.
I got like 25, 26,
Yeah.
5 amps.
Yeah. You gotta feed it. It's pretty miserly, but it still uses power, you know.
Yeah.
My buddy's got one that I never saw before, and I didn't know actually existed until he showed me the other day. He's got the Instant Vap original, like you have, Mike, but it has leads on it and clips for a car battery. So
Really?
Just take Milwaukee batteries or anything. It runs off a car battery.
Huh.
Now, he's the kind of guy I should have asked him if he actually took it apart and did that. I don't think he did, but you know,
Don't know.
that would work good. Get a
Yeah.
long enough lead and put your car battery in a wagon, and away you go.
I've been packing mine. I go beyond the 4. I've been packing them for years. So I'm guessing I was getting 5, maybe 5.5. But I'm also jamming it into the can. Well, I pushed 3 of them right up past the stops. And then they wouldn't come back. So then you have to get in there and bend the little ears back out. And get your plunger back where it belongs. And then push them back in. On the plunges for those,
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
I broke 3 of them the other day in a row.
The plunger?
Well, yeah, because I go further than you're supposed to.
Oh, you're misusing equipment.
That surprises you.
No, I'm just pointing that out.
But then instead of just
That's why I don't
pushing
get
it,
it.
instead of just pushing it in, I just keep packing it, so it's even pushing the plunger further back. And I actually just bent those little ears. If you look at that plunger, there's 3 ears that are bent in that hold that plunger in where it's supposed to be.
I'm telling Janos.
So you can tell him he needs to put stronger ears because I can bend him either
telling
way
him that
now.
he's breaking your equipment.
No, Janos needs to
I
make
fixed them all with the end of a file.
What's that, Charlie?
he needs to make a 6 gram plunger.
He needs to make a 6-gram plunger. Right,
No,
Doug?
I could just do 3 grams twice.
Yep.
It wouldn't take long.
2 grams 3 times. Easy
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, it would not take long.
The plungers are big enough to add a couple more grams. That's for sure.
Well, even without abusing it, it goes up to 4.
And if you look, you can go quite a ways back past that.
Don't tell me that.
Oh,
I'm already doing 4.
study it.
I think 4 is enough for me.
Yeah, that's
I
plenty
think-
for, especially the
it's
singles.
Doing good. Yeah, I'm doing all the 10s with 4. Singles or doubles. I'll put 4 in them.
Yeah,
The
I don't.
6s, I'm down to 2 or 3. I don't know. Does anybody have any advice? 2 or 3 on a 6-frame?
My 6-frame doubles, I'm doing 3.
Singles. I'm doing singles.
Yeah,
6-frame singles.
I don't think it much matters.
Yeah,
They're saying you could go 4 grams per box on a
I probably
bee.
could.
But
Because-
I do whatever mine will hold on whether it's 8-frame or 10-frame hives. I actually took the time today, Brad. I realized I had 3 screen bottom boards, which I don't run a lot of them. I just happened to buy them. So I actually pulled the things out this morning and scraped them clean and put them back in, and then I
Oh, wow.
yes. So I'm gonna actually know if I still have mites in there because I'm on like round 5.
Wow. I'm doing round 4 on Sunday.
This is our second year of doing 6s on double 10s. We've seen no damage in the hives at all from it.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing 6 grams for ever since I've had a ProVap.
Did anybody watch that latest Randy Oliver video? It's New York Bee Wellness channel.
I was gonna watch. I was watching some of it Tuesday. I guess it was Tuesday night.
Good video. And that just reminded me with oxalic acid. He said that when you vaporize in there, it said I don't know exactly specifics, but he talked about how it increased the acidity in there, increased over 24 hours or something. And so what he was doing is he was addressing the idea that you should apply oxalic acid vapor when it's cold enough that the bees aren't flying, so they're all in the hive and they can get the vapor. He said that doesn't matter. He said it's actually better, marginally better, if the bees are out and you can vaporize and all the comb and everything gets coated in the crystals, because the amount of oxalic acid, that's what he said, on the bees, because he's been doing this titration system where he can tell how much oxalic acid is on a particular bee. And he said after vaporizing that colony, the amount of acid on the bee increases over, I forget the exact amount, but it was a number of hours, maybe 12 to 24 hours. So that was pretty interesting.
We like to do it if you get a real humid day. You find that acid it clings to everything in there.
Yeah, it would. It would. And it's he did talk about that on a different video too. He saw the oxalic acid crystals. They're quite harmless the way they are until there's moisture added, right? So that's might be kind of what you're seeing with the humidity, is that it really sticks to everything and becomes very acidic.
Oh, hey, there's Mark. Mark Miller. I was just asking
There's
about
Mark
you
Miller.
earlier. Isn't that Mark?
Yep.
I was
That's
asking
Mark.
about you. I hadn't seen you on any
That's-
chats in a while.
Overall's Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was saying he does 10 grams on a double deep 10 frame. Never had any problems.
I wouldn't think you would with 10 grams. You know what I found interesting about that video was he showed with, I guess, a FLIR camera when the vaporizer was going, shooting out the vapor. that it basically starts to recrystallize a couple inches after it escapes the tip.
Right away.
And I'm like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's
I
why
knew
that's why the nozzle on that vaporizer can't be very long, because just another quarter of an inch longer and that stuff will start to collect on that nozzle.
Yeah, it'll stuff it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I've only watched half of it. I haven't watched all of it yet.
It's good.
Yeah,
Good video.
I still got the email here where I want to go back and watch the recording of
He
it.
talked about his work with the with thymol on various substrates. He was using Homo soaked. He was using what did he call the other one? It was a wall board or something. Different kinds of wood that would absorb the thymol, and he was having really good success with that stuff. So it's pretty exciting research.
Remind us who he is.
Randy Oliver.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I got up, but I missed that part.
So
gotcha.
New York Bee Wellness, it was the channel. He doesn't really do a lot of videos himself. He does presentations on other people's channels. So if you want to watch that, it's an hour and a half long, but it's really good. Really, there's a lot of nuggets in there.
Yeah. Yeah, DC, you got to subscribe to the New York Bee Wellness. It's free. And
they do regular updates with him. I'm not sure how often. I don't know if it's monthly, but it's pretty regular.
I think it's once a quarter. I think. I'm not sure.
They'll have a nice hour and a half video, and he just goes through all of his current research and all of the things that he's learning. And it's just really awesome because you get to stay current with what's in Randy's head.
Well, I didn't know that he invented his own little sticky board. He said that recipe's on his website.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea that he did that.
Yeah, what was it? Cooking oil and glycerin or something like that.
Mineral oil and
mineral oil.
Something else. But yeah, I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. So
well,
I'll have to look at that.
Somebody's gonna come up with something like that. It's gonna be Randy. He's got a lot of energy. He's got 10 times much energy as I have. He's 20 years older than I am.
Well, talk about experiments. When I got home from work today,
Vaseline and mineral oil. Sorry,
Vaseline. That's right.
Vaseline and mineral.
Yeah. I had a little test of my own going with that wax moth spray, and since it's out and about now and open to buy, I thought, well, I might as well just kill the control colony, or not colony, but the control stack of frames, and open them up and air them out and blah blah blah. Well, I opened them up. I couldn't see the tops of the frames. They were covered with little wax worms running around there. So I thought, okay, well, let me see if the mothball crystals will do something to them, because I've never done it with the larva, or whatever you want to call it, the maggots, but they're big. They're like worms. I've always attacked the moth itself with the wax, or with the ice crystals. So I grabbed a couple paper plates. I dumped a bunch on there. I put it on top of the stack. I put an empty box on top of that, and I put the lid back on that had 1,000 worms on the underside of it. And I'll take a look at it tomorrow. But I checked the other side, since I had so many of those, I guess, maggots, what you want to call oversized maggots, running around. I thought, I want to make sure that my treated stacks were okay. And there was nothing on the treated stacks. So, nice. I mean, that's actually a really good test right there, because there's a 5,000 to a 10,000 wax moth ready to explode. So it's crazy.
Hey, I got a question for you guys south of the border that use the moth crystals. to keep wax moths out of your comb. The prescribed method requires that you air out that comb for a period of time before you use it. What's that period of time?
For me, in my area, I do it about 3 weeks, and it's pretty much gone. Now you will smell a faint whiff of it when you put them back on
Yeah,
colonies, but I've never had a problem with that.
Nancy disappeared.
Oh.
Todd and I were talking the other night, and I was doing some reading, and of course the chemical in that stuff is called perichlorobenzene. And you know what else is made of perichlorobenzene?
I
Urinal
know
cakes.
I'm not gonna say. Yeah.
Urinal cakes. That's made of perichlorobenzene. That's the same stuff.
So if you're on a budget, I guess you could go to your local restaurant and
Just
I could say I've never.
just pick them out and put them in a baggie.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
scoop them out, get a big spoon, and put them in a bag, and there you
Right.
go.
Well, I mean, you might have to use a spoon and just get right in there.
Yeah. Hey, to each his own, I guess.
Reach through put the
What?
baggie in your hand and reach through and grab and pull it back.
That's right, and you just
Like dog
just like
poop.
picking up dog poop, right, Mike? Yeah.
I
Oh
offer
man.
on our cold storage.
Yeah. See, I wish I had cold storage.
Funny thing about New York.
Now, Brad, do you
Well.
put yours away wet?
My what?
Your honey supers.
Oh, we're talking about urinal cakes, and I'm just wondering. Is that a bit personal?
I don't really want to hear about them.
I was hoping not. Yeah. I don't. I just take them right out of the honey house and put them in the building.
We do too.
I was, when I first started, I was letting the bees pick them over, and I think that's fine because they take a lot of residue off of there and they can use that, but it also kills a lot of bees. There's a lot of bees on the bottom board dead when they're done.
Anybody that
Then I just asked. I just finished my thought that I asked Ian. Hey, do I? And he said, "Nah, we put ours away wet. They're fine." And that's right, they're fine. Sorry, Charlie.
That's all right. Anybody that doesn't know about New York Bee Wellness, there's the address. You can sign up and they'll email you. They have probably a dozen different topics throughout every month, or through like once a month they have something going on. You'll get an email. You just say yes, you want to get the link, and then they'll send you a link and all that stuff. But that's the home page right there. I just put that in there for a DC.
Referring to Tritone's comment, that's helpful, but perichlorobenzene is not an approved treatment for repelling wax moths on comb.
Or is it like with Paul there? Was that when your bees get a little bit pissy?
put the urinal cakes when the bees get pissy. That's funny.
I find if you leave the wet supers out too, all you do is feed yellow jackets and hornets.
You feed a lot of those.
Yeah,
for sure.
Now, I hope he says he's sold janitorial supplies for 30 years and used them until he retired. In the beehive or someplace else?
I've used a lot of them too, but we're not. Hey, Brad.
What's up, Brad?
Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
Urinal cakes mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, urinal cakes. We're talking about urinal cakes now.
The cheaper way to get rid of your
wax.
So I don't know what's cheaper. Like, can you go to a janitorial supply and buy a box of urinal cakes cheaper than you can buy paramoth crystals in the store? It's the same thing.
Do they smell the same?
Oh yeah.
I don't.
It's the only active ingredient in both, I believe. So
I think it's the only. Perichlorobenzene is the only one.
Yeah. One's above water, the other one's underwater.
It's kind of nasty to people, though. I mean, you would be careful of that stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff, as it gases off, it's harmful to people.
Yeah.
So don't take it lightly.
Yeah. Yes.
Only on Bee Chat. Oh my.
That's a good one.
Your censorship.
Hey, people, you know,
You're gonna get demonetized yet, and we'll help.
the newest wax moth way of curing it.
Yep.
Put it across the, I can hear it now at the local bee meeting. Can we use urinal cakes?
The used ones work better than the new ones.
Yeah, does the pink ones work better than the white ones?
You know, some of those, shockingly enough, some of those you can't buy in California. Same exact. I know the ones that clip onto the side of the toilet bowl. Can't buy those here. But you can buy the mothball crystals. So go figure. Must be the wire. Maybe the wire is radioactive. I don't know.
Probably.
It might be because y'all recycle y'all water.
Yeah, that too.
Ew.
Well, they say it's clean.
I sold to a textile plant where someone would steal them from the urinals. Well, look for the beekeeper in the employee
Maybe they had bees.
group. I'll bet you the beekeeper was stealing them.
It's only happening in the fall too.
Maybe it's a transgender thing.
Who knows? There's all kinds of crazy stuff happens out here.
Joseph wants to know, are the cakes food grade?
Yeah, food grade urinal cakes. It's okay. They're food grade urinal cakes. Really? Yeah, you can eat them.
I think he's meaning if you treat the bees and the honey, eventually. It depends though on
Yeah, but
how
would you know?
used they were.
The package doesn't say on the package food grade urinal cakes. That's not what it's going to say. How would you know? Like, even if it was food grade, would it say that? These are the good ones. They're food grade.
They're more expensive too.
That's funny.
Because you could eat them if you want to.
Yeah, I wonder if they work on ants. Maybe I'll lay a bunch of urinal cakes around the bee yard next year and see if it keeps the ants away. That, or if someone has an ant eater that I could borrow for a while.
That would be sweet.
That wouldn't be
This
something.
thing would
else.
be about 7,000 pounds in a week by the sound.
Oh man, that thing would balloon. That thing would balloon.
All you can eat buffet.
Could you make something that's like a bug zapper that the ants could just walk on and cook?
No, but there is something I've heard. I haven't tried it, and it's cornmeal. If you sprinkle out cornmeal, they think it's food, and they take it back to their colony. And when they eat it, when they digest it, their guts expand and they explode.
I would be buying a box of cornmeal tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know if these ants would take it though. I'm not sure because they're
There's
basically
one way to find out, Todd.
well
They're caliper ants, they're only vegetarian out there.
yeah.
Well, corn's vegetarian.
That's true. But it's probably what do you call it? It
Can't
ain't
buy
it's
GMO
GMO.
cornmeal in California, though.
Can't do
You
that.
you could always mix that cornmeal with a little bit of honey. They like that.
That's true. And make a paste.
There's
Right
gotta
now,
be some
like I
natural components that would act like ant poison.
I could probably buy a semi-trailer load of that stuff and still not have enough of it to kill all the ants that are out there. I mean, it's just crazy. I like what Roy said. The Euro cakes would have to be organic food grade because I'm on an organic farm.
I've never found any ant poison that really works at all.
What is it? Is it boric acid and something else that you put that they take back to the hives?
I've
Sugar.
tried that and never had much luck with it.
I
He
get
said that
Mm.
ant out worked good for him. I think that's permethrin.
There was one poison, it's outlawed here now. We can't use it. We used one
Good
time.
stuff.
Yeah. And it worked really good, but it was banned shortly after we tried using it.
what was that, DDT?
No, I can't think of what it was.
Agent Orange.
Mm.
But you just sprinkle a bit on an anthill and they were done.
So some guys are getting pretty creative. Like DC said they'd be making grits, or Jeff Thomas said they'd be making grits, and then Philip said they'll be making cornbread to go with my honey.
Hey, did you guys see that article in either Bee Culture or I think it was Bee Culture? Some guy was complaining about somebody's making grits and they're putting sugar on it, and I don't know. I didn't. It was like it was a weirdest. Why is this in the Bee magazine? It's like crazy. So anyway. So, Brad, from Cajun down in Louisiana, what's happening down there other than getting bee? Is it still hot?
Yeah, it warmed back up.
What's it back to 90 degrees now?
Close, 87 today.
Jeez.
Warm.
Yep. I was feeding bees this afternoon. All my nukes and stuff, just trying to get them heavy. They still bringing in pollen. There's still pollen coming in, but there's no nectar. So at least I'm not having to feed them.
So you're not really going to have winter, but you're just going to have a nectar dearth through January.
Yeah, yeah. You basically just gotta keep them alive till when the red maple starts blooming, like middle of January. But all of them seem pretty. I didn't. Like I said, I left all the honey after what I took in the summer, and then I had a couple of hives that they were like 5 or 6 supers high, and I divided those supers up into my other hives and made sure everybody had enough honey on my big hives. So I was basically just feeding all my new nukes that I made this year. And they all doing pretty good. I mean, with all this pollen coming in, they still putting out brood.
Yeah, well, you said on another chat that even in January you still have brood, don't you?
Yeah, there's always at least one frame that'll have brood, or usually it's like the 2 frames facing each other. They'll have brood on one side of each frame, like where they cluster at.
Right.
But like right now, all the hives got like 3 and 4 frames of brood. They still producing lots of bees. Lots of bees with nothing to go get.
Right.
I put out some sugar syrup in 2 totes, and you swore every bee I had out there was in them totes. I mean, it was like just a cloud. But all my nukes, I fed them in the hives.
Yeah.
Whenever you feed like that in the open, I find it's all the big hives. They get it. They just keep getting heavier. They take it down.
Yeah.
They take it down so fast.
Yeah, I tried open feeding there for a little while, but I like you say, I don't know, with top 5 feeders or direct feeders of however you're doing it per hive,
Mm-hmm.
you can you see what you know what the hives are getting and control how much they're getting and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Well, when the only reason I did that with the totes because like right when the flow shut off from the goldenrod, they all over the place. Like it's like they don't know where to go, so they all over my house, the shed, looking through everything, and so I set them totes out to the side, and then it kind of like brings them all that way away from the house, and then after you get into dirt for a couple of days, then they kind of settle down to where they just hang around the hives, and they don't bother us around the house and stuff.
Well, that was what I was kind of noticing here the last couple of days. I drive up around the hives there behind me in the tractor, and I'm talking 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, where sun's fully out. It's nice and warm, and the bees are not really, you at that time in the summertime, the bees are just coming in and out all over the place. Where there's small amount of bees, just kind of buzzing around a little bit, not much.
Yeah.
And I guess, like you say, I got them fed, so they really don't need anything. Their hives are full, and but they're not really going out searching for anything. I
Yeah.
have seen them down here at the sawdust pile where it's moist, and they're getting water,
Mhm.
things like that. But other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, still at all the water spots, they got a lot of bees. But now that it's been a couple of days since the flow had stopped, they kind of like I don't see them flying in and out heavy no more. They're just like it's all calm. The ball right when it shuts off, it's bad. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Now, Randy says that they got back from the football game. Is that the local game or is that what's on television tonight? Must be from a local game. Our granddaughter played in the band. All right, it's local. Now, you were talking about your queen rearing where you get a new queen in the spring. It goes through the summertime, makes the honey, goes through the winter.
Well,
And
it's
then
really most of my queens are like June and July. Like right now, everything in the hives is queens from June and July and a few from May. So
all right, so you're making June, July queens. You get them mated, and you go to your production hives, and then you pinch them queens and then replace them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, Nancy, you're back, are you?
Like
Yeah, I
after
was
the
wondering. I'm trying to figure out a queen replacement. I'll say time frame or schedule
mm-hmm.
for myself in that situation where I'm like if I'm trying to listen to like what James was talking about. Where all right, I got brand new 24 queens. They went through my honey season this year. They made me a good crop of honey. We're going to go through the winter with them. I'm going to go through next honey crop season, which is April, May, and June for the most part. And then I should be replacing them before I go into winter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, you can always get spring queens pretty darn good, but hopefully I'll be, making my own. And I guess I need to get them prepped and ready in a 2-frame mating box or whatever, up and running, good. And then, like you say, transfer them over to the other box.
There's wisdom that says a queen mated after solstice is the best queen.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
trying to get mated after that, isn't that pretty hard,
Well,
Todd or Brad?
Not for
Kinda.
over here.
kind of depends on when your honey flow is, I guess.
For
Our
me,
honey-
it is.
Our honey flow
May.
is May and June.
Yeah. See, so you'd be in a dearth, then it might not work so well. For me, honey flow is July, so mating success July is almost 100% for me. Requeening, that's something different because you got a bunch of honey boxes to deal with, but you could probably still do it.
Right.
So I don't know how that would work because I know requeening during a flow is a good time to requeen. Acceptance is high.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering, whether or not I should, if you are like this year, like my queens, all right, they're 24 queens. I went through one honey season. I'm going through the first winter for them. Should I go through next year's honey season? That'll make them a 2-year queen and wait till the next spring to requeen. But I would have to be, at that time, I would have to be buying queens.
Yeah, you have to buy them. You can't
Yeah.
make them before the honey flow.
Right. So if I requeen right in the middle of the honey flow, I guess that's not going to disturb my crop, will it, Brad?
If you
Either
You're
Brad.
not interrupting.
yeah,
You're not interrupting the laying process,
Yeah.
right? By a
Because-
substantial amount.
yeah, the bees you have when the honey flow starts, that's the bees that are gonna make your honey.
All right.
The bees that if you replace during the honey flow, that's just bees that are gonna be around during the dirt and stuff. Because when you, I don't know how long your honey flow is. Ours, it's anywhere from 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks at the most.
So ours is April. It starts. I'll say the 1st of April. It starts. The main flow is May, and then it starts tapering down in June.
Yeah,
And by the end of June, normally it's pretty much over by the 4th of July. Now
Yeah.
this year it extended into July. Why? Nobody really knows. We can't figure out what the heck and all that.
Randy Klingon says requeen after Formic Pro. I had a
That's-
conversation with some guys today about that. People complain about the Formic Pro killing the queens. Well, Randy says those are the queens you don't want. Randy Oliver says those are the queens you don't want because they're not good enough. So yeah, just apply your Formic Pro, take 10% of that number, and go and order that many queens.
But it's not always the queen dies from the Formic Pro. It's sometimes the bees kill her because they think she's at
Yeah.
fault for the Formic
Yeah,
Pro.
you got to remember,
what's
for
the
me, Formic Pros in September. I should be, queens should
What's
be
the
up and
difference? They're
running.
killing her because she's, her pheromones are maybe not as high enough to withstand the Formic Pro or something.
So, Brad, you were talking earlier about your mini mating nukes and getting them drawn out. I found the best way to do it is when you catch a swarm, put them in a box and put those
Swarms
mini
draw
mating
home.
nukes right
Yeah.
up over them and feed them.
Yeah, for sure.
You can get 2 or 3. I do deeps, and I got 2 or 3 boxes
Excuse me.
out of each of them.
Once I figured it out, it wasn't an issue at all to put because I didn't build the ones that James built where they're a separate units, or 4 units make up a size of a 10 frame box.
That's what I have.
I built a 10 frame box with dividers, so it was easier to handle. I didn't like them overall, but it was easier to handle. I just literally put that on as a honey super.
So
Extracted that in the fall.
I pull the front and back divider out and pull a queen and make it a 10 frame, and then I have supers to put over those. So the next year I can so mine are in 3 deep hives for the winter here.
Deeps?
Yeah. I made mini mating nukes, but they're deeps. They're 4
Yeah.
or
No,
5
you
frames.
can do deeps.
Yeah. So they do really well wintering over outside.
Oh yeah, I've wintered them.
I don't wrap them or anything.
Yeah, I've wintered them. They do just fine.
All right, another question. I've heard like Cayman Reynolds talk about this, some other folks. If you got, let's say a 5 frame nuke, or 4, let's say 4 frames. You got a queen and she's laying and she's got her bees on 4 frames, and you go into a production hive, pinch that queen. Let's wait, I don't know, 2 days or so, for the pheromones to disappear, I guess. And you drop that 4 frames of brood and that new queen right in there without any transitioning. Will that work? Or are the other bees going to kill that queen? What's your opinion? Anybody tried that?
I wouldn't do that. I tried those shakeouts this summer and it failed 100%. So what I did was I took all the frames and the bees and everything out of the box, a queenless box. It's a queenless deep single, and I put a new laying nuke in the center and filled the box with the frames, and then I shook all of the bees from the hive in front, and in every case they killed the queen.
Really?
Yeah. Now I have a buddy who I was talking to about that, and he says, "Yeah, I've done that too." However, he says he can do it now and it works. And what he did was he'll shake the bees. Now, what did he do? He shakes the bees out into a tote away from the hive and makes all the flying bees fly. And I think he moves it. And he moves the hive so that the flying bees don't find the hive again. And then all of the bees that he shakes in front are all young bees, and they don't kill the queen, is what he did. So he just takes out the old bees. So just basically do what I did, but move the hive and shake the bees out so that the flying bees fly back to the original location.
Did you have brood in the box?
Yeah, it was a nice laying probably four frames brood.
Why? What do you say, Doug?
Well, I usually find as long as there's brood with a new queen, you don't have any problem with her.
Yeah.
What?
I
Run
was
that by
pretty
me.
confident with it, but it failed in every case. I did 4 of them. They all failed.
What did you say, Doug? I didn't understand you.
Well, I find as long as you've got the new queen with some of her brood,
Yeah,
I never have a problem putting her in a hive.
a queenless, or after you've taken the old queen out, or
Yeah, or a queenless. As long as they're not grown layers already.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those I've had experience there. Doesn't matter what you do there, you're not going to, just shake them out in the damn grass and be done with them.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what he said. To get rid of the old bees. He said once he got rid of the old bees, he said they're fine. He said it works great. So I guess I don't know. Maybe there were too many old bees. Maybe they were queenless long enough that the bees were just too old. I don't think they were queenless really all that long though. Might have been a couple of weeks.
But the way I do it, because in all my mating nukes, they're all 3 and 4 frames, and all I did was, because since I requeen everything, when I pinch the old queen, I take my 3 frame mating nuke, the 3 frames, cage the queen, drop her in the middle with those 3 frames, and I just leave her there for about 2 days, and then I release her, and it works good because all her bees are in there, plus she's in a cage, so it gives them a little while to all, but the original queen, it's been like 2 or 3 days since she's been gone, and I go clean out any cells or anything like that they might have made from her,
Right.
and then that way they don't have anything to make a queen with. So then I go ahead and drop her in, but I cage her.
He said something that reminded me of a video I just watched, Black Mountain Honey, and he said that when he was talking about a pissy hive, I'll say, a really hot hive, requeening a really hot hive, meaning that he really didn't want to manage it more than he had to, but I think this would work really well in any situation where you're requeening. He said that he'll go into the hive, find the queen, and cage her. Leave the cage in the hive for, I think he said 5 to 7 days or something. And so what happens is they've still got a queen, so they don't build cells. But all of the brood in the hive times out. They can't build cells after that time expires. Then he takes the cage out, kills the old queen or whatever he wants to do, and then puts a new caged queen in there. And I thought that was brilliant to eliminate the need to go and hunt down all these cells. He says because they don't make cells, they've got a queen.
Yeah, I heard that same thing where you got these cages where you put the whole frame inside of it with her on it, and she only lays there, and she can't lay anywhere else. And all, like you say, all them other cells have gotten too old to make queens.
Yeah.
And that way you just pull it out now. And after you just reminded me this spring because of my queen issues. I think it was 5 days. That's what it was. I pinched the queen, and it was 5 or 6 days when my new queens came in. And I went through, like you said, I shook all the bees off, and if there was queen cells, I scratched all them off. Then put that new queen in there in the cage, and then, like you said, a much higher bee acceptance and everything. But you're saying Black Mountain put her in a regular, I'll say JCBZ type cage.
Yeah, just a cage. He of course, he's in Britain. He calls a postal cage or something like that. That's what he calls it.
Okay.
Something you would mail a queen in.
Okay.
So just a cage, any cage. Pick a cage.
Yeah, that would, like you say, leave you, because it took me hours to do all that.
That's a pain. I did so much of that this summer.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
You're getting down.
Yeah.
Hopefully you won't have to do as much next summer, Brad.
Yeah, well, I want to raise queens because I didn't raise queens this year.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about hopefully you won't have to do as much as you had to do this summer.
They have some bees that are alive in the spring. I think I will. There's a lot of bees looking good out there.
But that's a good idea, Brad.
When I watched that, I thought that's genius. Like, it's so simple.
Yeah, go in there and, like you say, find her, put her in a JZBZ cage, and let all the rest of the stuff get old. So let's say 7 days later. And then, you go in and there she is in the cage. Just take her out.
Take her out. You don't have to find her twice.
And then I would also wait a few days, I think, in order to get the pheromones out, right? Wouldn't you think?
I don't know. If you're putting a new caged queen in there, she's caged.
Yeah.
You can use, when I do combines, I use a pheromone mask. It's just Pro Health in a little bit of sugar syrup.
Yeah, spray everybody.
Just spray the,
Well, they've used that like peppermint oil and stuff like that. Everybody smells the same.
You didn't miss anything queen rearing this spring, Brad. The way the weather was, it was tough.
I suppose.
Yeah,
I don't know. My July was pretty good, man. My July was pretty good. I don't raise queens in May, though.
Oh, okay.
I do my grafting, mid-June to mid-July is when I do my grafting. And so they're late queens, but boy, are they nice. They're big, and mating success is almost 100%.
I try in June usually, but this year, June, I think it rained 3 times a day.
Yeah. It's little things like that.
For me, doing what we're talking about here, if I can, how it is, you if you do it and then you get the gist of it and it works, then you kind of get into a routine, and it's where, like, okay, all you got to do is do this, that's the way I kind of think is step 1 through 4. And I'll say 90% of the time it's going to work.
Well, the same principle of making nukes, right? My favorite way of making nukes is to pull the brood you want for your nuke. This is what Ian does. I learned it from guy named Kevin England. He's down eastern United States there near you guys. Anyway, pull brood, the brood you want for your split, pull it up above the queen excluder. I wait overnight. I don't know if you have to. And then that brood will be covered in young bees and it will have no queen, right?
Yeah, I've done that in my nukes with my queen excluder.
Yeah.
And
So
20 minutes, 30 minutes. I mean, I'll go down and I'll be doing something down the thing, and 15 to 20 minutes later,
Yep.
you go back, those bees are
Yeah.
all over them
I
frames.
think there's some variables because sometimes I've checked, in short period of time. But regardless, it'll be full of young bees, and a couple of things it does for you is you can move that nuke 15 feet if you want, because those are young bees. They've never been outside. They don't know where they live. They're not going to leave, and they got brood to anchor them. Plus, if you pull that up there and you leave it for 4 or 5 days, again, they can't make cells out of that. And now you can take that nuke off and put it elsewhere. Then you can go introduce your mated queen or whatever else, your cell or whatever. You're not going to have to hunt down rogue cells because they can't make any. There's no brood young enough. You just
And
wait
then-
for it to time out above that queen excluder. Now, the bad thing is, I think you want to put young brood up there. You want to maybe put some eggs, maybe put some very young larvae or something up there, because if you put all sealed brood up in there, half of it's going to emerge by the time you take your nuke if you wait 5 days or 6 days, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
a good.
just a
That's a
matter of
good.
letting it time out above the queen excluder, and then there's nothing there young enough for them to make a queen, and they're hopelessly queenless once you take them away.
Yeah, because I could use that to, like you say, fill up my mating boxes.
Yeah.
You know,
So
on the
no second visit to hunt down rogue cells in these nukes.
yeah.
Takes you a little longer, perhaps. You can't take them the next day, Sometimes, a lot of times, that's my push, is I can't even do that. So I have to sit down at the hive, find the queen, pull my brood, put them in a box, close the door, move them into my building for 2 nights, right? So I can take them back to the same apiary. And quite often I have to do that, but it's not my favorite way. It's because the weather is, it's going to snow or rain or something.
Yeah. The main thing is, with like you say, when you're setting up your, like myself, setting up a queenless cell builder and setting up 2-frame mating boxes, it's all, the fact is you got to look ahead. You got to be planning so many days down. We need to do it today in order to do it if it's on a Monday, so we can do the setup process on a Friday.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
There's that duck again.
Quack, quack.
And all.
That's
So, but
why
now
when
that's
if a new beekeeper, if someone comes to me and says they want to learn beekeeping, the very first thing I tell them is, you learn the life cycle of a bee like it's the back of your hand, and you cannot get it wrong. You learn that because that'll serve you better than any other information.
but that, and like the technique we're just discussing here with the, everybody talks about queen. It's not just for honey; it's for a lot of other things. It's a tool that gets a multi-purpose tool that you can use it in different ways.
Queen excluder. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you just
Everybody just think
controlling
about
the queen, right?
you're
Just
controlling
controlling the
queen,
queen.
but you control the queen for honey production, for queen rearing, with the brood, and like you said, shake all, oh, I want this frame, but I don't want to take the queen. Shake the darn bees off, put the queen excluder on, let them come up, and now you got bees and you don't have to worry about it. And it's sort of like a automatic thing, where if you got, well, like for me, let's say if you got a dozen nukes out there and you're going to have, you could put 5 frames up there in each one of them and all that. You could have
Yeah, and this kind of leads into what I call an aggregate resource in your apiary, and maybe people maybe have 2 or 3 colonies. It's not as big a deal, but it still can be something that's useful. If you watch the way Ian does this, he makes his splits. He'll pull this stuff up above the queen excluders, and then he'll strip off all the splits off of this yard. And it's not a 1-to-1. It's not this hive makes this split and this hive makes this split. It's I've got, I've got a yard and I've got 75 frames of brood and bees. I divide those up, right? I'll divide them up into 2 framers, 3 framers, 4, whatever I want to make, right? And so it's the idea that your whole apiary provides resource, and you can take that resource as one piece and use it as you will. You don't have to take one hive to one thing, another hive to another thing. Right.
We do that, and that's kind of our swarm control method too, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
We will reduce the strength of those hives in, well, late May, early June, doing
Yeah.
that.
Well, that's what I'm figuring on doing, Doug, with my nukes is that I need brood and resources for my cell builder, which is going to be a queenless nuke, and along with my 2-frame mating boxes. Well, like you say, come springtime, I might have 4 to 6 frames of cat brood in every nuke, which is a 5/5. I can pull, like you say, 2, 3 frames of that brood out of there and put it in another box or in these other boxes I need to fulfill and put some empties back in there, and they're not going to swarm, because you've kept that queen laying and everything. So, I mean, it's a great idea. And all. That's, I keep remembering that idea, but then I forget about that idea. And I'm like, we got to.
Well, there's stuff that gets in the way, and I often can't do it that way, and I feel cheated because I love doing it that way.
Yeah, it just takes the wariness of where did I move the
It's
queen?
just timing. It's just that you need, here in May, I'm usually saying we got 3 hours before it rains again. We can make some splits. So I can't do that timing, right? I have to go in there, find a queen, make a split, do it right then.
But quite often, when we've got 2 boxes of bees, we will put a excluder in between them, leave it for a couple of days, and then just go back and check for eggs.
Yep.
Pull the other one off that doesn't have any eggs and add a queen.
Yep. Super fast, easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You won't have to look for a queen then.
Right. Yeah, that's another good aspect of it,
But I've been finding we're getting a lot of, well, I don't know whether it's a lot, but probably 400 hives. When we pull them, we probably have about a dozen queens up in the honey supers. I don't know whether they're young queens that have gone out, mated, and come back through the top entrance, or whether we've got escape artists. But it seems like every year we've got about a dozen supers that come back into the honey house, and they've got brood and a queen in them.
Yeah, same happens to me. It's frustrating.
Yeah. And we're pretty well all metal excluders too.
The thing about a metal excluder is if you have a plastic excluder, you can see if it's broken. A plastic excluder is not going to bend, right? It's either going to be good or it's going to be broken, and you're going to see that. A metal one, you bend that a millimeter, you can't see it, but that queen's going to find it.
Yeah.
She's going to get through there. I think this year, I queen checked almost everything when I set my escapes. But I still ended up with queens up top.
Yeah. Well, that was one thing when we were late this year. He pulled everything and was blowing them. That way, there was no queens come back and no brood come back to the honey house.
Right.
And for the people working in the honey house, it's a lot nicer too.
It's brutal.
Yeah, you don't have a house full of bees.
It's brutal. There's not much I hate worse than a box of bees in the honey house.
Yeah.
I was talking to a beekeeper days ago. He said he actually puts a nuke of bees in the corner of the honey house.
Well, I was considering that. Yeah.
I put one outside this year and it worked great to collect all those bees that end up around the honey house and don't know where they live. So it did a really good job that way. But I hadn't thought of putting one inside. I wasn't sure how that would go.
I think it would work good inside because even when they gather on the window, I'll open the window, chase them outside, but they just stay on the outside of the window then. They don't go anyplace.
They don't know where they live. They got no home.
No.
Right. See, in Ian's setup, he does that too, and he's got those windows. He's put them in upside down so they open up like a laundry chute, and he'll sweep the bees out. But what you might not see is he's got a couple of nukes sitting on the ground outside. So he sweeps them off, and they just go plump on the ground and walk into the nuke.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
nice
as long as you had a queen in the box, I think you'd be all right.
Yeah, queen's in there. So they get a lot of bees.
Save a couple zombies for next year.
Yeah, exactly.
The other night about 1:30, my phone went off, Brad.
Oh,
And there's a great big black bear heading for the beehive.
no.
A helpless feeling because, it's a half-hour drive to get there.
At 1:30.
But that bear walked all along one edge of the electric fence, and it did its job. But it's sure a helpless feeling.
Yeah. You wonder if those cameras are a blessing or a curse.
Well, I would thought these things would be close enough to their dens they wouldn't be out traveling now, but
You'd think.
yeah.
I imagine if your bee season's all screwed up with weather, so is their hibernation.
Well, I was talking the other night. Somebody asked me when I moved my bees in, and I said, well, I watch for overnight lows of about -10 before I move them in. And I was looking at the long range forecast. So by that rule, I'll be moving my bees in on the 8th of December. It's going to be pretty warm if that forecast holds.
Well, we got everything wrapped other than I've got 1 yard with 6 frame nukes, and I got to move it. And it looks like Tuesday, I think, is the day if we could move it.
Well,
Yeah.
11C for a high today, so it wasn't super warm. -1 now.
It got up to about 27 here today, but that's it. It's gonna just keep going down from there.
It got pretty chilly for you then. 27.
Well, oh yeah, that's right. Because I always say for your benefit, 80 degrees, 80 degrees. So it's supposed to be
-1.
next week, 60s. That'd be nice.
It was about 6. I was out riding the tractor around doing some work in my t-shirt, and I was thinking, yeah, with that breeze, it's a little cool.
We had 2 days last week in the mid-20s.
Oh yeah, Monday was beautiful. And then Tuesday, well, back to reality. That's okay. I don't mind. Keep the bees from flying. Keep them inside now. They don't need to fly anymore. It's nothing for them out there anyway.
Last year at the expo, Mike Berry and Mr. Ed were all in the same hotel as me. We're walking out one morning, and they're in winter coats, hats. I said, I can tell you guys the Southern boys, I'm still in my t-shirt.
In Kentucky.
In Kentucky.
Peter's asking how we wrap our hives. We push 4 hives together It has an insulated wrap around the outside, a pillow on top, and then a piece of plywood over that. And they're there for about 5 months.
That's the standard inland wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Troy Hall wraps his mini mating nukes. Well, he puts four of the 4-frame mini mating nukes together on a pallet. Puts foam over them. Takes the telescoping covers off. Puts a heavy felt over all 4 of them. Then puts the telescoping covers down to hold it, and he just lets them snow on them. And a lot of them are just 4 frames deeps. The mini mating nukes, and they survive the winter like that.
Well, it's like Brad said, cover that hive all up with snow.
Yeah.
It makes its own little igloo, and it's blocks all the wind off, and it's like a little cocoon.
Cocoon of
It'll
warmth.
works fine. Well, guys, it's 10:30 here. I'm going to go ahead and shut the chat down for tonight. And we'll see y'all next Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Good night, everybody.
See you later.
Good night.